Hello, dear friends. Every month I wait for Matthew's message because of its quality, like May water. Opinion piece. Planetary Liberation. Huge task. Everything goes in stages. Everything takes time. Another strong solar flare. Darkness is awakening. Let's start. Helping a civilization move from third to fifth density is a gigantic task. A gigantic achievement, according to Matthew through Susan Ward. The darkness will end in stages as Earth's civilization advances through fourth density. No three-dimensional action, activity, attribute, or attitude can cross the threshold of the fifth dimension because its lowest frequency cannot exist in that density. We don't know where this idea about the Earth's proximity to fifth density came from. Perhaps the intensity of the collective desire for goodness to permeate the planet and uplift every life. They want their families to live in a peaceful world where everyone shares abundant resources, has nutritious food, excellent health care and education, and satisfactory housing. A world whose damaged areas are restored to health and beauty, where neighbors and nations cooperate happily, where everyone has opportunity for advancement, and where all human beings live in harmony with nature. All enlightened beings in this universe want that for Gaia and for all her resident souls, human, animal, and plant. That world will come in due time, and that is a certainty. As for those numbers of dimensions or densities, the universe has no boundaries. Energy is not compartmentalized, and we use only numbers to indicate the location of the Earth or the evolutionary state of an individual or a civilization. The fourth and fifth densities are not destinations on an intergalactic travel itinerary. They are stages of self-discovery along the soul's evolutionary journey back to the creative source. Personal wishes. You also have personal desires related to fifth density. Although you are much more aligned with soul level knowing than a third density population, your bodies are just as vulnerable as theirs to disease, affliction, and aging. You want to grow new organs, limbs, and teeth, regain sharp vision and hearing, become stronger and more energetic, and look vibrant and youthful. This is also understandable, and the ability to make those changes is possible, but not imminent or en masse. The key is a close relationship with your body and its functioning, and unwavering belief and choosing the soul contract for optimal physical, mental, and emotional well-being. When people's conscious desire coincides with their contract in this regard, and they firmly believe that they have the capacity for renewal, the combination produces a frequency that activates the body's self-healing, regeneration, and rejuvenation mechanism. You also want to communicate telepathically, materialize objects, teleport, and use other innate abilities. And all of that will be developed later. If the longevity clause in your contract does not require you to live on Earth for that long, you will have all those magical dimensions of life in Nirvana, in another spiritual world, or in your homeland. Exhaustion. Although they remain tenacious and dangerous, the dark ones are growing weaker by the day. Many of their operations have been destroyed, and others are faltering as funding is drying up, and grassroots movements are supporting dark pockets of local support. Earth no longer serves as a high school for the universe, so the day of souls flocking there to balance the experience of enduring difficult lives in 3D is over. All of these developments have increased the frequency, and you may be feeling the effect at the gates of fifth density. Perhaps a more intimate connection with God and Gaia is causing your spirit to soar, or your sense of closeness to fifth density could be very simple because that is what you are. You always emit a high frequency of love and those produced by your nature. Smiles, kindness, compassion, empathy, generosity, optimism, kindness and perseverance, and self-confidence. And simply by being you, you radiate a mile-wide beam of light and joy that motivates, inspires, and uplifts the people on the earth. The energy of the population on the other side also affects life on earth. The many millions of people struggling to survive do not know that their worry with loss, anxiety, and suffering strengthens and prolongs the causes of their pain, fear, and deprivation. They have no idea of the ancient battle between the forces of light and the forces of darkness, or that benevolent changes are coming on the near horizon because of the light. The lower frequencies is ignorance, which are formidable enemies of hope and self-empowerment, solidify the foundation of a third density environment. Of the many people who do not live in dire circumstances, so who are rich, covet their money, and are greedy or oblivious to those in need. Some people are wrathfully climbing the corporate ladder or are focused on moving up the social ladder. Some are afraid to speak the truth of fear associating with someone who is different. Some are self-centered and faithful to their patterns and focused on self-gratification. Some betray their friends, cheat on their families, are abusive or let addictions control them. And some individuals are simply unpleasant. That set of low frequency behaviors and emotions is a third density clue. Delay. According to Arnold, reconciliation, cleansing, and reconstruction will be completed in less than 2 generations, between 35 and 40 of our years, and many aspects will be achieved much sooner. Major efforts have begun in some areas, others are in the planning stages, and throughout those years, we and other universal families will work alongside you. Governments do not want to recognize the existence, much less the presence, of visitors from other civilizations. Banking and controlled wealth trade are computerized transactions without a monetary base. The religiously devout do not know that the principles of Christianity were written many centuries ago by state and church leaders in order to control the masses and enrich themselves. Animals and trees are souls whose symbiotic and synergistic relationship with humanity is an essential part of an advanced world. Most animals are treated inhumanly, and corporations dig up square miles of forested land. Doubles or clones, produced by artificial intelligence, portray people who are no longer alive to keep the appearance that they are carrying out their jobs normally. Malnutrition, disease, impoverishment, and homelessness or nomadic existence are the fate of billions in a world ruled by billionaires. From the earliest civilization onward, power mongers have shortened the lives of countless souls whose contract had chosen to live to old age. Erased. A society, as society awakens, they will let that brutality, bellicosity, corruption, deceit, greed, intolerance, revenge, rage, envy, jealousy, betrayal, and bitterness were instilled in the makeup of humanity as puppets of dark forces in ancient times. Those characteristics served as purpose in third density, but it is time to erase them from the collective consciousness. Happy, healthy, and prosperous humans on Earth are thriving alongside animals and plants on a magnificently rejuvenated planet. You are helping them achieve that rebirth. All beings of light in this universe honor and support you with the incomparable power of unconditional love. Proposals. According to Benjamin Fulford, The White Hat proposal calls for replacing the UN Security Council with a group representing 7 districts. Decisions that affect the entire planet are decided by majority vote. The other proposal calls for taking the functional parts of the World Bank, the IMF, the Bank for International Settlements, etc., and incorporating them into a future planning organization with a multi-million-dollar annual budget. This would not be a communist-style central planning commission because the actual projects would be put out to tender by the private sector. The other proposal is to start the new era with a jubilee. It would be a timely cancellation of all debt, private and public, as well as a one-time redistribution of assets. There would also be an amnesty for most people currently serving prison sentences. The real question is how do we get from here to there? There are now high-level negotiations to decide exactly that. Last week, a family representative contacted the White Hats to offer support to the future planning agency. The only thing they ask in return is that they not be killed. According to Fulford, a kind of massive 9/11 type Black Swan event is being planned in order to start a new war and rescue the military-industrial complex from bankruptcy. This is what would be behind a massive cyber attack that would take down the financial sector or the power grid, and China would be blamed. Some Chinese factions are also willing to hype up an external enemy to distract from a serious economic crisis. Breaking news. Klaus Schwab says brain implants are scheduled for everyone. The world population on New Year's Day amounts to more than 8 billion people. According to Asian, 8 is a lucky number. When you sit in a digital car, you consent to having your personal data recorded and sold according to Subaru. In 1841, scientists signed the World Climate Declaration titled "There is no weather emergency," but it does not stop politicians from imposing taxes. South Africa has brought charges of genocide against Israel before the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Another strong solar flare, demonstrating its continued power, Sunspot AR3536 produced another strong flare. The explosion peaked on January 4th and spewed a stream of plasma into space. The flare's extreme ultraviolet radiation ionized the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere, causing a soft shockwave radio blackout over Australia and the surrounding Pacific Ocean. Sailors may have noticed signal loss at frequency below 20 MHz for more than half an hour after the peak of the flare. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.